Everyone wants more money, but most of us weren't taught how to create an abundant life. That's where the law of attraction, manifesting success stories show comes in. If you are ready to have more money, create more freedom, and experience more fun, turn the volume up. It's time to learn how to create the prosperity and life you have been dreaming of. Here's your host, Cassie Parks.
Hello and welcome to this episode. I am your host, Cassie Parks, and I am here with Kimberly for her first interview. I am so excited. Yay, that's how I feel. So welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too. What is awesome? That's how we usually start.
Well, I actually am having my very first interview from Marco Island, Florida. I spent my morning on the beach. So what better way to do an interview?
Yes. Oh, that's so true. I love it. And this was something you manifested, right?
Correct. So It was so interesting because on the calls, people were talking about all these trips they were taking. And I was randomly asked, which again, I don't know that it was random, but I have one massage client still, and she asked me if I wanted to go. Her husband booked this house. It's a 5-bedroom, gorgeous home. I mean, we're talking gorgeous. It's actually for sale for $1.4 million.
Awesome.
Just to tell you. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And so she asked me if I wanted to come down, and all I had to do was buy my airline tickets. So for $153, I got basically a free vacation.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Yay. I love it. And then a lot of other things worked out. Like it was really easy to get your clothes. Your son found a Kohl's gift card, right? He gave it to you. Yeah.
Yep. So I have lost 26 pounds since last September. And so I had pulled out some summer clothes and they were just falling off my body. I'm like, well, I'm going to need some clothes to go to Florida. So my son works at the mall, and he was cleaning up, and he found a $25 gift card to Kohl's. So I went shopping there, and I needed a new bathing suit, and of course I needed some shorts. Well, I ended up getting my bathing suit the night before I left. It was perfect. Everything worked out that night. And then a few days before that, I had gone shopping at Kohl's and got a new pair of shorts and a t-shirt. So it was fun.
Yay. That's awesome. I love it. All right. I'm going to ask that later. So you have been, you've been in the Enchanted Circle for about 2 months. Yeah. Which is awesome. Yes. And so what is your manifested total right now?
I'm just shy of $30,000.
Yay! That is awesome.
That's more money than I made last year.
Yes.
Yeah. So amazing.
That is amazing. How does that feel?
It kind of leaves me speechless because it's just, I still have those moments where wrapping my brain around the fact that last year I was working like 40 hours a week to 2 months in the Enchanted Circle. And I have made more money in those, 2 months versus, the months that I worked last year. So yeah, it's just, for me, it's been a huge eye-opener because if you don't mind, I'll go into this. I had done the Manifest 10K by myself twice.
Yes.
And each time I did it, I got laid off at my job. So I manifested $10,000 like immediately, but then I lost that flow. So I finally decided that I wanted to invest in myself. And I knew that it was like, I'd been sitting on the fence for so long. And I just knew that I needed that extra guidance and support that you offered. So the Enchanted Circle was it was meant to be. It was time to finally to do that. And part of that also was feeling worthy to sit kind of at the table with the others in the group. And so being here has definitely made a huge difference for me. And obviously I'm manifesting, I've tripled that from doing it all by myself just in 2 months. So that's been huge.
That's amazing.
Yes.
It is huge. It's so good. And it's so powerful, right? And speaks to like you were successful on your own.
Yes.
Right? You could do it. And it looked very different. I think that's super interesting. And someday I want to like, I'm going to be thinking about that for a while, like how that plays into your money story, what would you say your money story was before?
I kind of went back and forth between two different money stories. I was always looking for the next big thing that was going to make me money. So I was chasing money. And then I also feel that the story about always having just enough, like I would save something and then something would come up. So, but I think chasing was probably the main theme of my story. But then having that just enough. And now I'm recognizing that I can have more than enough.
Yay!
So big shift. Yeah.
Yeah. How does that feel?
It feels really empowering to know that I have the ability and the power to create like the life that I want to live. And that's just so empowering. Like I just got goosebumps saying that out loud.
Yes. Oh,
so that's huge. You know, that I think in the past I've given my power to, different things, and taking that back and feeling more empowered definitely has opened up my creativity. And when an idea pops up, I don't necessarily know how it fits in, but I take a note of it, because of course we have our journaling where we write down if we found a penny or whatever. So our evidence log, and that has really, being more consistent with that and being accountable for it makes a big difference, because before I was kind of willy-nilly with it. And now that I do that on a consistent basis, and the phone calls help too, because someone will say something and be like, oh yeah, that's totally like money. Like I have a really big one for that, like that medical bill.
Yes. Yeah.
So just as this is an excellent example, because I had a surgery last year and my bill was $4,452.78. And I got a letter in the mail that has been paid in full by the universe. Thank you.
Right?
So, and I never would have made that connection that's money manifested. Now, granted, someone didn't hand me that $4,452, but that's no longer an investment that I have to pay, which is phenomenal.
Yes. That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's just, and even that to me is like, that was huge. I'm like, did that really even happen? Well, yeah, of course it does.
Yes.
It does for me now. So now I'm like, okay, what else can I get a letter in the mail for,
Right.
What else has been paid in full? So yeah, that was really cool.
What a fun question to ask, right? What else has been paid in full?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. So and I want to share this because I think it's so important. And so often when we're doing this work, or even sometimes people that are in the Enchanted Circle, we get caught up on like where we are versus what we're creating. And so I added a bunch of powerful stuff to the beginning, even before you get to do Manifest 10K. Yes. Now I added a whole other part to paving to even more success. And before you even got to Manifest 10K, how much had you manifested?
$11,000.
It's amazing. before even Manifest 10K, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I was like, well, wait a minute here. I already manifested 10K. Now what do I do? So I'm like, okay. And you changed that up for me, actually, based on where I was going and what was going on with me. But the exercises paving the path, to me, that was really powerful, because I enjoyed it so much. Those exercises, stepping into the person who has more money was new for me. Like, again, I think with my old money story, I was always looking for that next, well, what's going to make me money? Like that's right. And it was more of from a place of fear, like, because I felt like I didn't have enough. And so what could I do to bring in more money? And I don't feel that anymore. So now my ideas are, does this feel good? And do I want to do it? Because if it doesn't feel good, then I probably don't want to do it. So I don't.
Yes.
Which is huge.
It is huge, right? And it's opened up this, and what I love, I think you've made this connection too, is it opens up to like the things that you do are actually, how do I want to say this? What I see on paper is like, those are the highest return anyway. Mm-hmm. Right? Like when it's like the things that you love, do I want to bring this product in? Do I want to do this? It's like, oh, there's a really high return versus I'm guessing those things that you didn't want to do. Like,
yes,
they probably didn't have a high return, but that's not why you didn't want to do them. You're based on what feels good, but it's leading you to what is the highest return.
Yes. And when I had that assignment, it didn't dawn on me till after being coached by you that my return on investment was, I like those numbers, playing with the numbers. Normally in the past, I would have avoided those numbers and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but okay. But then when I had to look at them, I'm like, I don't even know what the word is, but it's more than quadruple my income once I make those investments, which was huge because I had never looked at those numbers before. And I'm like, well, wow, because that's a lot of money. Yeah. And I didn't realize it. I was just following what felt good, and the felt good is what brought me this opportunity to have more money flowing in. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't have noticed that if I hadn't done that assignment.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the, just for listeners, that's sort of the way that the assignment you're talking about was just something I saw you needed to do. Right? That was actually a personal Kimberly assignment, because even though there's a program and a process, I will tailor certain assignments to be like, we need this information. We need clarity. This is going to help you see that when you manifest this $10,000 in your business, that's like a one-time investment that's going to continue to pay out and pay out and pay out and pay out and quadruple your income. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun because, again, if I hadn't done that piece of it, well, I think, I don't know where I would have gone, because it's, your coaching is what led me to that. And just really, it was an eye opener. So looking at those numbers, I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of money.
Right. And that's what I'm doing. Right. It's not even like, it's not, when you saw that, it wasn't, oh man, I want that. It was like, oh, like that's happening. Like that's on its way. It's almost like you can't stop it at this point.
Right. And you said, you called it a money train.
Yes. You started the money train, and it's going to keep going.
Yes. So yeah, well, and then when I did the math, that came out to more than $80,000 a year.
Amazing.
And so I was like, wow, because I've not ever made that much before. So to me, that was a big number.
Absolutely.
So again, looking at numbers from someone who used to avoid looking at the numbers, that was an awesome one to look at. So
yeah, absolutely.
I appreciated that one. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And it helps shift your brain, right? Because otherwise we can, especially business owners, and it's interesting because there's a couple of you that I'm kind of seeing this from, that'll have similar assignments, is we get caught up in like, I have to invest in my business. And so we don't expect a return back. Right? Because we're like, well, I want to make my business successful. And that shift has to happen of like, oh yeah, I'm at there comes a point where you got to invest to do what you got to do, but then it should be making you money, right? It shouldn't just be investing to make it work. It should be having return.
Yes. And it took doing that assignment for me to even recognize that, because I was on the mindset of any money that came in, I had to turn around and take that whole chunk of change and put it back into the business. So now I have this newfound, like, wow, that I can take what I've spent already and reinvest that, but the return on my investment would be my money.
Yes.
So I don't have to put it back into the business. Yes. So that would be like my income.
Yes.
And I hadn't recognized that before. So with the coaching, that really was a big eye opener. So it even just made it even more exciting for me.
Absolutely. That's awesome. I love it. Let's see, where do I want to go next? This popped in my head, so I want to talk about it. And you got this really cool, it's on hold. We're recording this on March 17th, 2020. So we'll be transparent about where that is. But so this is on hold. We'll be honest about that as well. But I have no doubt that it's coming back around. You've gotten an opportunity to get paid for doing something you really love, right?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So again, something so organic that I didn't even know was a thing. So I used to be an instructor for esthetician school, and one of my prior students happens to work for a family privately, and they had a project come up, and she thought of me because she knows I'm crafty. So she reached out and said, "Hey, do you do scrapbooking?" I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I don't do it full time, but yeah, it's a craft, so I know how to do it." So she connected me with I don't even know how to explain it because there's levels to it. But basically, I'm going to get paid, and I threw a number out there. Is it okay if I say the number?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Say it.
So I threw the number out there. I'm like, I want $25 an hour to do scrapbooking. And I was like, because that's what felt good. And I just followed that number, and it just felt right. And so I stuck with it. They didn't even bat an eyelash. And I'm like, who pays $25 an hour for someone to do their scrapbooking? Well, obviously somebody does because I have that job.
Yes.
Yeah. So that increased. I mean, if I did it just 10 hours a week and I looked at it from a year, that just increased my income by $12,000.
Amazing.
Yeah. So to scrapbook.
10
hours a week. Yeah.
More than a third of what you made last year, like for scrapbooking.
Yeah, for scrapbooking, to be crafty. I mean, who knew? And I don't know that I would have been even open to that or even throwing out that dollar amount if I hadn't been in the Enchanted Circle. Yeah. Because I think that with all of the processes and the exercises I've been doing, I've opened myself up to opportunities that I could have never dreamed on my own.
Yes.
So that's huge because money comes in so many different ways that my little brain couldn't even like fathom how they would come in. So being open to these new opportunities, that's huge. $25 an hour for scrapbooking. I still think it's like bizarre, but I am so thankful.
It is. It's awesome. That is awesome. And I love that you said like your brain couldn't come up with it, which is so true. Never, I bet, when you were out there chasing money, did your brain think, oh, I could charge for scrapbooking, right?
Yeah, no, never. Never would have crossed my mind.
Never, right?
No.
Yeah. Because when we're in that mode, we're not open to those things, right? We're trying to figure out with sort of this limited perspective, what we could get to happen, what could make happen, right?
Yes, exactly. And that's the key word there. What can I do to make it happen? Like forcing it to happen.
Yes.
In this, everything has just been so organic that and it just feels so much better. Not having to force anything, you know, just going with the flow it feels so much better than what I was doing in the past. So even that in and of itself is huge because I can feel that I'm no longer, now I'm not saying that things don't still pop up because, you know, it happens, but I really am growing into, and I have grown so much in the last 2 months that I'm now more open to new ways for money to come in. And I don't think that if I had been doing this on my own, it probably wouldn't have been on my radar and I wouldn't have been open to it. So it's just, I think the biggest thing for me is that I'm just so thankful that I said yes to me.
Yes. Say more about that.
So I'm going to go back to, I think, Cassie, I found out about you. Oh my gosh, was it 3 to 5 years ago, 4 years ago? It's really a strange story because Mindy Kaleda.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I had found you somehow. I think it was on Hoopla, actually. And then I was talking to somebody else about this amazing book I was reading, and she actually knew you. And so she connected us, and I had just started a different, like a Facebook group page. And I was going to go through part of your book. And I asked if you actually donated 2 books to that group. And I did a giveaway. And you sent me a signed autograph for the winner and for me. And that is still my favorite book. Like it's priceless.
Yes.
So having done that, I, did the Manifest 10K twice on my own, manifested it. but that was it. Like I needed more.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that switch was this past year, but I just decided that I am worth the investment because I want more for me. Being a mom, being a wife, all these different titles, I just really felt it was my time to invest in me, which was kind of a new thing. I think a lot of times we put ourselves, further down on that list of priorities. And I just decided that I wanted more for myself, and then having more for me will actually give more to my family.
Yes.
So making that investment in me was the best investment I've made in a really long time.
Yay.
So, yay.
Clearly. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
My husband's like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing it. I'm like, okay. He doesn't ask questions and I don't tell.
Yes. That's awesome. I love it. And I love that because I think that's so true. And now I'm far enough along in, like who I am in my business that I am getting to see some of you who've been like following me and like see you even just work up to like, okay, I can do this. Right.
Yeah.
And you did the Christmas, there was a holiday special I did, which was, you could buy it now and then you could do it in the new year.
Yeah.
For 10 days. And you started with that and then realized like, oh, I belong here, which I loved. I was like, yes, you do.
Yeah. And it was so weird because I've always been like pretty confident in myself, but there was something that just held me back, that I didn't feel at that time that I was worthy enough to sit at that table. And it was just being in the Enchanted Circle just for those 10 days and meeting the women that are in the group. They all come from so many different backgrounds, but they were all so welcoming that I felt at home immediately. So it's like, okay, this is my tribe. This is where I'm meant to be. I want to be here. Yeah. So it was an easy decision. And I think I knew that pretty quickly. It didn't take me the full 10 days. I just knew that this is what I wanted. And those exercises actually prompted me to step into signing up, doing the application for the Enchanted Circle. So I just claimed it as mine. Yep, this is it. I'm investing in me. Let's go. Let's do this. I'm ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Well, tell us what your magic is, because I want to talk about what you do and how you make the world more fun.
I'm crafty. So and it's funny because I actually started when I was 19. I became a certified ceramics teacher. Yet at 19 years old, there was not a high demand for ceramics teachers. And of course, I chose the path of how can I make money? But that's always been a passion of mine, is being crafty, and I like trying new things. So last year, I decided, a year ago, February actually, that I was going to open up a craft studio. So I did part-time, and I wanted to offer workshops. Kids are amazing. Like I couldn't do a daycare. I mean, I bow down to teachers and daycare providers because they, have kids all day long. But when they come in to do a workshop or just come in and be creative, they are so fun. Their little brains, if we could go back to being like 6 years old, I think the world would be a better place because they have an answer for everything.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And they're just so creative. So I opened up the studio, and it's not just for kids, it's for adults. But I feel that for me, when I'm being crafty, that's my Zen zone. Like I lose all track of time. I don't worry about anything. I don't think about anything. I'm just in the zone of being creative. And I've really learned within the last year that it doesn't matter how it turns out. It's just the process of it. So that's what I like. And so anytime anyone comes into the studio, I'm like, and they'll make the comment, well, I'm not, crafty. I'm like, spend an hour with me and you'll walk out the door. You'll be crafty.
That's awesome.
Yeah. You just got to find it. We all have it. Sometimes it's just hidden or it's been buried for a minute. So yeah. So that's my magic, is taking that and bringing out the creative side. And I think that we need, the arts, things that make us be creative and kind of think outside the box. If I hand you a coloring page, how many people color in the lines. I kind of like to color outside the lines.
Nice.
Yeah. So I usually try not to give you a box. I don't want to put you in a box. So yeah, that's and I, of course, my holistic background, meditation and that sort of thing, I kind of combine those. Mm-hmm. So that's been kind of fun too, integrating a part of me that I always feel like your craftiness, you're putting a piece of you into it, so that when it leaves my studio, if I infuse it with love or happiness, you're taking a piece of that home with you. So I always feel like, when someone looks at something that they've created or they've purchased from me, that when they need it, they're going to look at that and they're going to find that happiness they need that day, or that extra little bit of a hug, So that's kind of my little secret recipe in my craftiness.
Yes, I love it. So. Oh, that's awesome. And so tell everybody, like, how do they connect with you? How do they find if they're in Ohio, how they find the studio?
Okay, so I'm in a little town called Hebron. Mm-hmm. It's Spunky Craft Studio. And I have a webpage, and it's spunkycraftstudio.com. And then I'm also on Facebook, which is facebook.com. I think it backspace or backslash. Yeah. Spunky Craft Studio. And then if you're on my Facebook page, I actually just started a group so that people can share being crafty, because some people, they get nervous. And so I want to see them, I'm sharing that I don't know how to do something. So I've started doing videos for Spunky Crafter. It's a group where you can come in and you can share what you're working on, or you can watch me learning new crafts, because I feel like if I can show you that I don't know what I'm doing, and we work through it together, and you see the whole learning process, then maybe it won't be so scary, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I can do that. That looks pretty cool.
Oh yeah. So, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh, fun. All right. Everybody check it out for sure. I just love your stuff. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. Any other big ahas that you've had in the first 60 days that you want to share?
Big ahas. I think for one of the biggest ahas that I remember is when you had me break apart my personal list and my business list.
Yeah.
So, and that wasn't something that you normally did. Like you said, that was kind of a Kimberly assignment. So it really made me look at those numbers. And so having that aha of, oh, wow, I'm investing this money, but look what my return on my investment will be. Like I had no clue. So that was huge for me. Yeah. And then I think another aha moment was, I kind of spiraled because I was telling the story last year. Anytime somebody would ask me when I opened the studio, I would share, well, I opened up part-time in February, and then in August I was laid off. So then it became full-time. So being laid off was part of my story, and I just kept saying it over and over and over again. And I was like, but I don't want to tell that story anymore. Like, who cares that I was laid off? Right. Just now it's full time. This is my livelihood. This is what I do. This is what makes me happy. And this is, what I want to do on a full-time basis. So I had two ladies come in and they asked me that question right after I had done that. And I'm like, yeah, I started out part-time. And then in August, they became full-time. Never mentioned that I was laid off. And I was like, yes, it was growth.
Yes. And how did it feel?
It felt amazing. I'm like, finally, I let go of that. I mean, yes, that was part of my old story. That was a part of my life, but I didn't have to tell it anymore.
Right.
Like it didn't matter. It just,
exactly.
So for realizing that it didn't matter was a big deal, because I think a lot of times that I over-explain. I'm so used to just like somebody asks you a question and you feel like you have to explain it to the nth degree.
Right.
But really you don't have to. And so that was another kind of aha for me, is what do I want to tell people? And so I pay more attention to the words that come out of my mouth, because I don't want to share certain things. And so if I start to do that, I'm like, stop.
Yay.
Yeah. So it's like, so I interrupt my brain and I'm like, okay, so what story am I telling now?
Yes.
And so I no longer, I mean, I don't think I've even told that story since I recognized that I was doing it and I said, stop. And so now I just say that it became my full-time deal. You know, I made that decision in August to make it full-time. So that was really big for me.
That is huge. And you can just feel the difference in the story, right? It's like you chose, which is true, right? It was still true, but like it's just a more powerful choice when you tell the story that way.
Yep, absolutely. And it felt more powerful to me that way because and again, that makes more sense now because before when I would say that, there was a sense of like, I don't even know what word to use, but like, I think I was kind of ashamed, like I was laid off, you know?
Yeah.
But I had to tell people, I'm like, yeah, I got laid off. And so I could even just feel like my head go down when I would say it. And I was like, you know, and so now that I don't do that, it's like, my head's up a little higher, you know, and I'm just like, yeah, I chose to make this full time last August. It was my choice.
Yes.
Because, you know, getting laid off, yeah, whatever. I look at it as a blessing now. Because I'm able to follow my bliss.
Yes. Yay.
So good stuff there.
That is awesome. Yeah. What are you looking forward to for the next 60 days?
Oh, well, you kind of changed it up for me. So I'm looking forward to, actually, I've already surpassed it. So I'm like, well, I'm really looking forward to manifesting 20,000, but Cassie, I'm like just shy of 30,000.
Right? Ooh, so you're looking forward to crossing the $50,000 mark?
I think so. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that I'm looking forward to seeing that return on my investment. Like actually seeing those that come to fruition.
Yeah.
It already is happening. I just hadn't, you know, my brain hadn't wrapped around it yet.
Right.
So, and I just want to take a minute because, you know, it's what's going on in the world right now has not really been affecting me. And lots of things have come up, but I just know that, can I go ahead and say that? Because
yeah, go ahead.
I have, so with everything that's going on and I'm on vacation. And so I've really been in relaxation mode and just like not worrying about all of that stuff that's going on. And people they're saying about their businesses and small businesses are in trouble. And I'm like, but that's not my story.
Right.
And so I'm like, well, what can I do to one, give back, and two, keep my business going? So I had already started thinking before I left to go on vacation, not knowing that this whole thing was going to go on in the world, about doing shipping.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like, okay, so that was an inspired, you know, idea. That I was going to, you know, put that into motion. And when I get back, that's something I'm going to work on. And then I had the idea of, I'd already started a YouTube channel. I just hadn't done a whole lot with it. Like Spunky Craft Studio on YouTube, it's just sitting out there and it's waiting on me. So I'm like, well, if people are going to be stuck at home, what can I do to one, stay crafty? So I'm actually thinking of doing, you know, distant classes, workshops where I can either ship them a kit, or if I'm still allowed when I get home, because I don't know how that looks yet, putting the kits together, and then people can drive up and we'll all have our gloves on and I'll go out and give them their kit and they can just pay for it online. So one, it's helping keep kids and families connected and being crafty, and it's still keeping my business going. And so I don't know that I would have thought of all those things if all the stuff hadn't been going on in the world.
Right.
And I'm not absorbing all of the panic, you know, that's going on right now. So it's just amazing to me that I even thought to, like, I know that shipping is a thing, but being a one lady studio, I was like, well, that wasn't really on my radar until about 2 weeks ago.
So. Yeah. And it was really inspired, right? It was like, oh, I think I'm going to ship and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it just kind of snowballed, and I'm like, but I'm not going to force it to get done before I go on vacation.
Right.
And again, not knowing what was going on in the world or what was going to be happening. So yeah, I think that being more in tune with allowing those things instead of forcing, because I know in the past I used to force and I didn't realize it or didn't recognize it. So when I recognize it so much faster now, that I don't have to force things, because if I'm forcing it, then it doesn't feel good.
Right.
So I always do that, checking in. How does this feel? Because if it feels good to me, then I'm going to move forward with it. If it feels like, then I have to kind of just I have to just sit and feel it for a while and figure out, okay, why do I feel this way? Or if it doesn't feel good, then I'm just going to like store it away, and maybe it'll come back and maybe it won't, but I'm not going to force it. Yes. So just allowing it to come in has been a big aha. So.
Which is awesome. And I'm so excited for where you are, because that was like your first, it's so, when we're in alignment and when we're seeing things, like we just see the possibility. We don't see like you said, like, that's not my story. Like, of course your craft studio is going to flourish, and this is going to like put you on a whole different map or make it successful in a whole different way. Right.
Right.
Oh, so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And I don't know how that looks.
Yes.
Thank you. And I think before, like, a lot of times I would be like, well, how am I going to do that? Because I was chasing things.
Yep.
So I was worried about all the details. Well, how am I going to do that? So then I would overanalyze it and drive myself bonkers. And now I'm just like, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out because I'm going to go with what feels good.
Yes.
It is so much easier.
Right? It is so much easier.
Yeah. And then if I get stuck, I'm like, Cassie, I'm stuck. And then of course, with the coaching, I mean, and just to go back to that, the Enchanted Circle, if I feel like I'm stuck or something's just not clicking, jumping on a phone call is the best thing for me, because I can hear other people's amazing stories of what's going on. And then someone will ask a question that I didn't even know was a question I had, but I'm like, okay, thank you, because that's what I needed in that moment. And so you really recognize a lot faster with just the group and with your coaching that you don't have to stay where you're at for very long.
Right.
So that's been a huge difference, just being able to let go of the how things are supposed to work out and just allowing them. I think I also too is, I may have been impatient in the past.
Which is, that's sometimes who we used to be, right?
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm not saying that doesn't sneak in from time to time. But again, I recognize it so much quicker now, and I can just say, let it go. And then those ideas, those hits of inspiration, they just kind of pop in. Yeah. So with like shipping. So that was that was just a little nugget,
Right. Yeah. Just a little like, oh yeah. And it was easy, right? Like getting the process. It wasn't like this whole, how am I going to do it? It was like, this is what's going to happen. And let me like just start with a few steps, you know?
Yeah. And I did all of that before I left. There's a few things I have to do when I get back, but I did what I wanted to in those moments. And what I have left to do when I get back is easy peasy. And so I'm just going to keep following the easy peasy and the what feels good.
Yay.
So, yay me.
Yes.
I deserve a cookie.
You do. That's awesome.
And a margarita.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. You're in Florida, and some sun and the beach. And
yeah. So
amazing.
It's been amazing, a vacation. Oh, and then while I was here, she asked me if I wanted to go to Panama in September or October, just get my airline tickets. I was like, of course I will.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's just like things pop up that I'm like, wow. Like, so that's been a huge aha moment, because things that I never imagined that were possible have become possible.
And you say yes to them.
Yeah, you say yes.
Yeah.
That's the fun part.
Yes.
I don't have to worry about how.
Right.
I just say yes when it pops in.
Say yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
amazing.
Yeah. So I'm on cloud 9.
I love it. I'm so excited for you.
Yeah.
So and
50,000.
Yeah, 50,000. You're going to be celebrating that soon.
Yes.
I love it. Any other things you want to share today or final thoughts?
I don't think so. For anybody listening, if you have questions of whether or not you're worthy enough to sit at the Enchanted Circle table, you are. Because for me, that was one of those things where, I felt like I can do this on my own. And don't get me wrong, I absolutely did do it on my own. But having the support of Cassie and the support of the other people in the circle has made a huge difference. And so I went from manifesting 10,000 on my own, to 30,000 with a group of people. So just imagine what you can do with having that coaching experience and having a support system. Like, I really feel like these women, that's my tribe. Like, this is where I go when I need to feel better. And I can jump into the Enchanted Circle, my library, and go and listen to the recordings. And I'm like, so I feel like I'm getting to know some of the people's stories, like, where they were and how far they've come. And so even that has just been like, wow, okay. So it's just so inspiring. And I just really feel that if nothing else, just try it, because that's, I'm just really glad that I invested in myself. So if you're thinking about making that investment, I highly recommend it, because my life has truly changed. And it was not even just in the 60 days. I mean, within the first 10 days, I had a big shift. So Absolutely. It's possible. And anything is possible.
It is. It is.
Yes. So, and I'm looking forward to when I can come out to Denver for a photo shoot and hang out with Cassie.
Me too.
That's on my list.
Awesome.
So, and I don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen. I just know it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. I look forward to that too. I will get your stack of money ready.
Thanks. And my silver platter.
Yes. Oh, amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your vacation with us and sharing this moment in your journey. It's amazing. And I know somebody is going to hugely have some shifts and ahas and because of it. So thank you. Thank you all for listening. Remind everybody one more time where they can connect with you on Facebook or your website.
My website is www.spunky, that's SPUNKY, craftstudio.com. And it's the same for Facebook, Spunky Craft Studio. And I think that's it. Those two places.
I love it.
You to find me. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Kimberly. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to come back and see what else is awesome in Kimberly's life next time.
Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you. I love helping people manifest money, because when you're learning to use the law of attraction, money is such a great tool. It gives such instant feedback. There's so many opportunities to see how the energy is flowing through you and where you might be getting tripped up or not allowing it to come in. So if you've had trouble manifesting in the past, you might want to use money as a way to learn how to use the law of attraction. Now, I have helped thousands of people manifest millions of dollars using my system Manifest 10K. And now I would love to invite you to join me complimentary and pay based on your success. You heard me right. You can join, get access to my very successful program, the Enchanted Circle, and most of all, my coaching for when you get stuck. And then you can pay me 10% of what you manifest after you're successful. If this sounds good to you, go to payafteryoumanifest.com to apply. That's payafteryoumanifest.com.
Thank you for joining us on the Law of Attraction Manifesting Success Stories show. To learn more about enrolling in the Enchanted Circle, go to cassieparks.com.